22 years ago, I suffered an accident, broke my collarbone, and I had a little time, 6 weeks to think things over, and decided that if I was ever going to ride a horse again, that I was going to set up a safety system on the ground so that when I get on the horse is in a good place, and I've got a place to go if things fall apart, and they will. So the first thing I do with the horse, I developed a 7-step safety system. I found myself using this sequence and broke it down into 7 steps. The first step is bonding. And that's just loving the horse up, getting them relaxed, getting them to trust me. Finding those places that they can't scratch and be itched. Their nose, their ears, their eyes, underneath the jaw, that kind of thing. And after I've made a good first impression, then I ask for something back. The second step, which is called take and give, which is the basis for all training. It's pressure and release.
Absolutely.
So I get that horse to drop its head and then get that head around to the side. So the horse understands that when I apply pressure, and the horse yields to that pressure, I will release every single time. But the horse has to have that because everything that's going to go on henceforth is going to be based on pressure and release. The third step then is checking that tail out and making sure that that tail isn't tight. Because you see, if the horse has a real tight tail, generally it's an indication that the horse is tight, that they're not in a good frame of mind. So generally, if that tail is nice and soft and you can guide the head around to the side, the horse is saying, I'm in a good place, and it's big league trust.
If the tail's tucked in, you can bet your bippy
don't get on that horse. Yeah, I mean, these are things that you read, and we call that intimacy, the third step. The fourth step is what I call the dance begins, and that's when you drive the horse out, send him out, and wind him down like a snail, is big on the outside and small in the middle. And so what you're doing is you're sending the horse out, driving the horse, lunging the horse, if you will, and then the circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller until the horse is stopped, again with that head around. So what we're doing is we're showing the horse that there's this safe, loving place that we can go back to on the ground. I planted the seed earlier at the second step. Now I'm on the fourth, and that's where the movement starts. That's why I call it the dance begins. The next step is desensitizing. Now, a lot of people avoid things that are scary for the horse. And my philosophy is completely different. Let's go out and find what scares the horse and help them through it. Absolutely. If you avoid it, you're never going to get it fixed, just like us. If we're afraid of something and don't confront it, we're never going to get better.
You've got to face it.
Yeah, exactly. So we deliberately go out and we try and build the horse's confidence up by shaking gaits and using plastic bags and slapping the saddle and all kinds of things like that. And again, if that's going to flip your horse out, you don't want to ride him. But what you can do is you can lovingly help the horse through it, if you're careful not to push them over the edge, because if you push them over the edge, then they stop learning. After that, we do what we call ballet on the ground, and that's when you're asking that horse you drive them out, and then so they're going around in a circle, and then what you do is you reach across and you get them to face up. You stop the horse and get them to face up. When they do that, they actually pivot on the forehand, okay, and the hind end comes around. And then what I want to do is I want the horse to rock back and go out and do a turn on the haunches so that the weight is back and that frees the front end up. So what you're doing is you're connecting brains and feet and you're using energy constructively, all the while promoting safety. And then the final step is you get in the saddle and you do the same thing. You ride the horse out, you do a one-range stop, you circle the horse down to that stop, show them where that safe, loving place is, and then rock the horse's weight back and sweep the front across. And it turns into this really beautiful, elegant dance, as we saw in Chris's horse, and you're promoting your safety the whole time. You're doing that one-range stop, you're creating an athlete, and you're burning off that energy that sometimes you need to do.
And you know the most important thing?
Yes.
It works.
It works, exactly. but the human has to learn it. I mean, it takes a little bit of work to get good at it, but anybody can do this. It adds 3 to 5 minutes. Once you learn how to do it, it adds 3 to 5 minutes to the ride, and if that's enough to ensure your safety, and we like to say that we take 80 to 90% of the risk out of the ride using this safety system.
And it's teaching the teachers, basically.
It's all about teaching the teachers. We need to teach the teachers.
Yeah.
So many accidents are preventable, Robin.
It's in no way denigrating the teachers at all. It's just saying, look, here's something extra that you can put into the curriculum and use.
Exactly.
And it is not only just helpful, it's beneficial, and it makes riding safer, because it is a dangerous sport.
Yeah, dangerous.
It is, you know.
Statistically, horse riding is up there with motorcycles and, you know, you name it. It's one of the highest accident rates, and they find that 70% to 75% of accidents are falls from horses. Now, you can fall from a horse that's standing still, but more often than not, they've lost control.
Yep.
So the big question is, how do we get that control back? How do you maintain it, and how do you regain it? And that's what the system is about. You know, it gives us a chance to get that energy back where we need it instead of flip out zone and back into rational zone. And then we're safe. And it empowers the rider, and then they can become confident. And the horse can as well.
So I think you should all join us and learn a little bit more.
Please, join us. You have quite a history with horses. You've been involved with horses for many decades.
A long time.
Yeah, and Pony Club and a lot of these things. And I just wonder if you have a few words of wisdom for, you know, what we're trying to do, how we're trying to add some new procedures.
I think you've added a new dimension because a lot of us knew about some of your techniques, but not
why.
The principles
Right.
behind them.
Right.
And I think that was the most essential part.
Right.
There's been very positive feedback on the sessions.
Good. Good.
So thank you very much.
When you put your kid on a horse, what's your greatest concern?
Well, the safety of the child is always the biggest concern, knowing what's going to happen when they get on.
And you don't know what's going to happen, do you?
No, my children are only small, little light-built girls, and you've got to have a horse that's reliable and predictable.
Right.
And they're hard to find.
They're not thinking about it at all.
They're not tuned in.
And we just have to get it over to pony clubs because, you know, Frank and I really want to leave a legacy, you know, and that legacy is the safety for the next generation and the next generation.
Yeah, because if we can get it instilled into pony clubs or any kind of an organization, then they're going to teach their kids and their kids and their kids, and so it's something that will go on for generations. Now the question is, how do we get these people to kind of loosen up and accept something that it's some new thinking?
The backing of R.M. Williams, the backing of Weatherbeater, the backing of the Horseland crew, you know, I think all that helps. And also I think the townships, you know, because we've done a lot for Kyogle, and I think, you know, it all comes back. All the good stuff comes back.
Yeah. What I want you to do is cross your legs. All right, now, everybody got your legs crossed? Run forward. Can't do it, can you? You can't run forward with your legs like that. Well, the horse can't either. So I'm going to show you how we can get the horse to do that. How to step like this, and then you take the power away from the horse. Because when you take that power away, the horse can't buck, they can't rear, they can't run off, they can't bolt, they can't go over backwards. The other thing you need to understand is that when a horse flips out, we've lost their brains. You see, horses are flight animals, so when they get afraid, what do? Whoosh, gone. They run, exactly. And so, that's when we get in trouble, because we lose control. When that happens, the horse is completely operating in its right brain. Right is flight. That's real easy to remember. But when we get a bend in the horse, then we get him back into thinking mode. So it turns into a dance, and that dance can promote your safety because you're getting that one rein stop done, you're disengaging that hind end, you're getting the bend, which gets the horse in the right frame of mind. I call this ballet in the saddle because I use it to warm the horse up and create an athlete and burn off energy. So the big question is, how do we get that control back? How do you maintain it, and how do you regain it? And that's what the system is about. You know, it gives us a chance to get that energy back where we need it instead of flip out zone and back into rational zone. And then we're safe.